Good afternoon. Just 2 minutes to 1 p.m. East African time here in Nairobi, Kenya. Thank you for joining us on News Now at 1 p.m. here on TV47. My name is Sheilar Chelangat, and of course we begin now. Now, leaders from Rift Valley have joined Kenyans in mourning the death of Emurua Dikir Member of Parliament Johanna Ngeno and 5 others at Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital following a tragic helicopter crash in Nandi County on Saturday evening. Maluse Meshak reports.
Leaders and Kenyans at large continue to mourn 6 people, among them Emurua Dikir MP Johanna Ngeno, who died in a helicopter crash in Chebukeb area, Mosop Sub-County, Nandi County on Saturday evening. Sunday morning, leaders gathered to comfort families before they are airlifted to Nairobi. Leaders from the region urged the public to avoid speculations as investigators work to establish the cause of the crash. Uasin Gishu Governor Jonathan B., Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei and other leaders have appealed for the patience and call on pilots to exercise caution during ongoing rain season.
Ningeomba tu kwa niaba ya watu wa area hii mjue tu ni ajali imetokezea na watu wameumia na hakuna kitu ya kurili kuangalia kusema tunataka kuangalia mwili. Hiyo ni pengine kuangalia ni baada ya kuundwa zaidi, kutengenezwa ili ionekane kama mwili ya binadamu.
Ambao walikuwa kwa hiyo chopa ambayo ilipata shida, tunasema poleni sana. Mimi najua kwamba tunajua Mheshimiwa Ngong ambaye ndio rafiki mkubwa sana ya Uasin Gishu, na juzi alikuwa hapa kwa mambo ya wasanii, na mimi najua wasanii wengi wako hapa, tunawaambia pole sana.
Narok Governor Patrick Ole Ntutu, who visited the morgue, has said he had spoken with MP Jonathan Ngeno earlier that morning before the fatal crash.
To talk to the people of Dikir and friends of Ngeno. I know there are many questions, but I want to appeal to you for peace and calm. Let us be peaceful, especially the people of Dikir. I know, and the family, I can't imagine the pain they are undergoing through.
Leo asubuhi, jana asubuhi, kabla hajaondoka kuja hapa Nandi, na akaniambia alikuwa anaenda alafu arudi.
Residents who witnessed events before and after a helicopter crash yesterday evening in Chebukeb area, Mosop Sub-County, Nandi County, have narrated the incident with deep sorrow.
So bila tulikimbia tukakuta ndege alianguka, alipiga chini pale, akakuja akakonga miti, akatupa watu wawili hapa, akatupa wawili hapo, akatupa wawili mbele huko.
Maluse Meshak, TV47, Nairobi.
Right, it is a story that we continue to follow up even as we expect the body of the late MP to land at the JKIA any moment now. And of course, our very own Maluse will be giving us the updates as we continue. Now, away from that, leaders from the coastal region have pledged to strengthen political unity and cohesion as they declared their support for President William Ruto ahead of the 2027 general election. Speaking at Laini Village in Tana River County, the leaders said their renewed cooperation aims at strengthening the region's bargaining power at the national level and secure a greater share of development.
Kwa hivyo mimi naomba sisi kama wapwani sote tushukane pamoja. Saa hizi kila mahali wanaitana, wanakaa wakizungumza, na sisi lazima tuwe pamoja ili sauti yetu isikike, ili watoto wetu, wajukuu zetu, na wao pia waheshimiwe, waje kesho katika wakati wamepangiliwa mpango wa kujiendeleza kimaisha.
Safari hii tuwe werevu, tuwe wajanja, tuwe nini? Na ujanja wetu ni kutengeza umoja wetu. Mumesikia viongozi walizungumza hapa, haya yote waliyosema ni kweli. Safari ya kesho upangwa leo.
Sisi tunaunga mkono serikali ya Mheshimiwa Ruto kwa sababu waziri, sisi sehemu hii ya Tana River ni jamii ndogo sana na hatuna namna. Na ule umasikini ambao uko Tana River lazima tufanye kazi na serikali ambayo iko.
Moving on from that, as the worsening drought continues to cause distress and suffering among residents of Mandera County, leaders and locals are urging all stakeholders to join hands to avert the crisis. Speaking after donating food aid to over 10,000 households and trucking water to affected villages during the holy month of Ramadan, businessman Haji Samau Osman called on the national and county governments to step up efforts to reach residents in the most drought-hit areas with emergency assistance. He stressed that the situation is worsening and requires urgent intervention to save lives and livestock.
Mafugo yote yamekufa, so hawana chochote. Shida kubwa ni kukosefu ya maji. Vile nimesikia watu wako na shida, mimi nimejitolea, nikatuma watabozas karibu 20 kila kona ya Mandera West ambayo shida ilikuwa mingi sana. Banisa area kidogo ya bande ya jirani ya Banisa Northern, Mandera North na Mandera South.
Ukame, hali iko mbaya, mali imeisha, mbuzi imekusha, ng'ombe imeisha, ngamia imeisha. Sasa binadamu kama kesho na kesho kuto wanyama mvua hajafika, sisi hali yetu ya binadamu mwenyewe iko hatari,
kwa vile hata watoto ajili ya ngaro wametoka shule, hakuna mtu naenda shule because of drought. Hata watu wamekosa ukosefu wa maji, hata ile chakula kidogo mwalimu ameletewa ampigie, hakuna maji.
Let's switch focus to education matters, where stakeholders are calling for increased and timely funding of the TVET sector, warning that underfunding could undermine efforts to equip youth with market-ready skills and lock out vulnerable learners. In Nyali, Mombasa County leaders urged the private sector to partner with training institutions to address funding gaps affecting infrastructure, equipment and scholarships.
When she came in here, she learned. We were trying to see where she can fit, but eventually she chose herself to learn hairdressing. So now she can have herself a salon. At least now when she's looking for a job, she's not looking for kazi yoyote. She's looking for a salon to make hair.
Ningependa kusihi serikali iweze kutake education kama a priority katika budgeting stage, ili education iwe na enough resources, at least watu wasome. We are producing experts. A country ambayo iko na population base ambao watu wamesoma ni country ambayo inaenda mbali sana. A country ambayo the private sector ina support serikali ni country ambayo inaenda mbali. So private sector wanafaa kuelewa kwamba serikali haina resources za kutosha. Inabidi kwamba wakati ambao wanakuja kuhakikisha kwamba wamecomplete the bit ambao serikali haikuweza ama mkono wa serikali haukuweza kufika.
And more than 1,000 university students and college representatives joined forces with the Kikuyu Council of Elders at the annual Gema Youth Community Summit, seeking to bridge the generational gap and address what they described as a growing leadership vacuum. The summit emphasized the need for structured mentorship programs to guide student leaders. The youth were also urged to embrace mentorship while rejecting political manipulation.
Hii Kenya lazima tuijenge tukiwa Wakenya wote, lakini kwanza ni lazima uanze nyumbani, na ndio tunaelezea kila mtu wewe sema hauna kabila, lazima uwe kabila fulani, utoke hapa uwe Mkenya, na ndio tunawasomesha kukaa hivi na wakae na amani na wale wengine, na waache matusi na wasije wakatumiwa vibaya na wanasiasa, sababu sisi tumesomesha watoto wetu, hatukuwasomesha waende wakatumiwa vibaya. Tunataka watoto wetu waendelee na kujenga nchi yao wakiwa watu wangwana na watu wanaweza onekana kweli ni watu.
Must also confront a hard truth. Popularity is not competence. As young leaders, as young people, we hold enormous voting power. Yet power without wisdom is dangerous. Beyond social media popularity, we must vote for competence. We must vote for integrity. We must vote for vision. Leadership begins where responsibility is accepted. Leadership begins with responsibility. And one of our greatest responsibilities is to register as voters.
And residents of Kangema and sections of Kiharu constituencies have welcomed the progress made in water connectivity in their area by Murang'a West Water and Sanitation Company, saying the expansion of pipeline networks has significantly improved access to clean and safe water. However, concerns have been raised over the rising cases of illegal water connections, which the company says are affecting efficient supply and leading to financial losses. Our reporter Robert Gakure has more.
Residents in Kangema and parts of Kiharu constituencies have expressed satisfaction with the ongoing water expansion project being undertaken by Murang'a West Water and Sanitation Company, Mwewasco, which has now reached 67% coverage, with more households being connected to reliable and safe water sources. Beneficiaries say the project has eased the long-standing challenge of walking long distances in search of water, especially during the dry season, and has reduced dependence on seasonal rivers and unsafe water sources.
Ukiona vile mimi niko mfupi kwa sababu ya kusota maji madhioya. Kwa mitungi. Mimi nasotaga 10 on one day.
Tumeweka tukisaidiana na World Bank na Water Fund kwa mradi unaitwa Conditional Liquidity Support Grant.
They have noted that improved access to clean water will boost sanitation and hygiene standards, reduce waterborne diseases, and support economic activities such as small-scale farming.
Serikali ya county sisi tunasaidia katika ile mradi tunaita last mile water connectivity, ambayo kila wodi inapata shilingi milioni 2 katika kusaidia katika kununua mifereji.
However, the company has issued a warning against illegal water connections, saying the vice affects the proper supply to genuine customers and leads to significant financial losses.
Changamoto kubwa ni ile tunaitaga kwa lugha ya Kiingereza non-revenue water, na ile maji yenye huaga inapotea huko kwenye inatoka, imewekwa dawa, imefanyiwa ile mambo yote inafaa, lakini haifikii customer, tukienda kwa billing haiko.
Robert Gakure, TV47, Murang'a.
Thank you, Robert. Away from that, as preparations for the 2027 general elections continue to take shape, the government and political parties have been urged to embrace youth leadership by allowing young people to practice their democratic rights through good governance and ethical leadership in the country and across Africa. Speaking during a youth-convened meeting in Nairobi, Diana Amabel, the Director of Programs and Partnerships of the host organization, emphasized the importance of education that promotes entrepreneurship and digital transformation, calling for it to be prioritized in policies targeting the younger generation. Youth have also been urged to champion their rights while maintaining good relationships with policy makers.
Then we need to be creating a cohesion. We need to be fostering connections and not the disconnection that exists and the fracture that exists. We need to be closing those gaps that exist so that we can actually work cohesively.
Any other initiative a young person is doing in the community, they need support through finances, funding.
Make sure that they're able to exercise their rights to elect the leaders that are going to speak for them and ensure that policies are friendly for them to be able to tackle various challenges.
Every single week, we share different eclectic opportunities, whether they're jobs, whether they're training opportunities, whether it's funding, and everything that we share is at no cost, so nobody pays for the information.
I'm offering myself as a rope to the drowning generation, to the drowning nation, because I believe for us to make an impact, for this country to change, for the system to make sense, then it needs people in the National Assembly who can argue, people who can make better policies.
Right, and even as significant milestones continue to be recorded in the rollout of the competency-based education CBE, a section of education technology experts argue that deliberate and structured efforts are still lacking to ensure learners fully benefit from this critical component in an increasingly digital world. Speaking in Mombasa during a consultative meeting with teachers from the Coast region, stakeholders underscored that innovation is best nurtured at an early age, particularly when learners are exposed to technology-driven education during their formative years. They're now pushing for comprehensive policy reforms to guarantee equitable access to technological resources in schools, terming it a fundamental pillar in the country is to compete with developed nations such as Singapore and beyond.
We believe that technology is a lever that we haven't fully taken advantage of. So we gathered to figure it out together and to collaborate and to encourage one another. This year, we will continue the process we began last year with the policy conversation. The Ministry of Education is reviewing their ICT in education policy, and we went around the country with them to the different regions to gather information from people who actually work in education. What do they want to see in the policy that will enable them to unlock even more impact around technology in teaching and learning?
And that's why we are having such a platform, which also bridges the gap between the academia and the industry in how they can work together to prepare opportunities for the upcoming generation and also to get Kenya from being third world country to first world country.
We need teachers in the room. We need the ministry or the policy makers in the room. We need tech entrepreneurs or people who are making solutions or innovating around schools. We need them in the room. It will take all our work, all our efforts together to make education better.
Nafungua tafakuri zao, na kwa huo mchanganyiko wa mchakato wa majadiliano wakiwa pamoja, wanaweza kuibua hisia ambao wanakuwa sasa wanaona kama teknolojia ni kitu ambao wanaweza kishusisha kwa shule zao.
15 minutes past 1 p.m. We are up for a short commercial break. Do not go too far. More updates on the other side of the break. Thank you for staying with us. Of course, this is News Now at 1. Now, Kilifi ODM leaders led by Governor Gideon Mung'aro have pledged to mediate national party divisions. They aim to unify ODM factions to secure a strong bargaining position within the current broad-based government. Following a meeting with delegates and MCAs, Governor Mung'aro, Senator Stewart Madzayo and PS Fikirini Jacobs affirmed their commitment to the partnership with President William Ruto's UDA. The leaders emphasized that while they support a 2027 presidential bid for their alliance, all other elective seats in Kilifi must remain reserved for ODM to maintain their regional political dominance.
Na mimi nataka niwaambie kama watu wa Kilifi, sisi Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga alituacha katika broad-based government, hiyo ambayo sasa sisi tuko.
Tunataka hivi sasa gavana aweze kutoa rekodi yake ya 100% of the elected representatives kuanzia parliament mpaka county assembly. Chama hichi ndio itakuwa bridge siku moja wale watakao kuja nyuma yetu, pengine hata baada ya Ruto amemaliza mhula wake, tutakuwa na imani ya kwamba chama cha ODM kinaweza kutoa rais.
Tuna jukumu la kushirikiana. Kuna wenzetu kidogo wamesikia hawaridhiki pale wako, lakini bado ni wanachama wao DM, si ndio?
And the tragic death of an expectant mother at Kenyenya Sub-County Hospital in Kisii County has sparked violent protest, prompting Governor Simba Arati to call for calm as authorities investigate the circumstances surrounding the incident. Irate residents stormed the hospital, damaging vital infrastructure and attacking medical staff following the death of Charity Nyaboke Ogenche. Deputy Governor Elijah Obebo and Dr. Victor Moseti urged the public to stop destroying expensive equipment, emphasizing that forensic investigations and an independent post-mortem are necessary to determine whether professional negligence occurred before attributing blame to healthcare workers.
We have started conducting an audit which will be able to bring out everything that transpired so that we're able to know what exactly happened within this short period of time that led to this death.
Kuvuruga madaktari si jibu. Jibu ni kuelewana, hospitali iendelee, na tumepeana idhini kwamba serikali lazima iendelee. Ndio sababu nikasummon all these officers to tell them lazima to serve our people despite these hiccups we are experiencing.
And the Kenya Pharmaceutical Association is warning of a looming crisis in the country's pharmacies, citing the existence of widespread illegal operations and weak regulatory enforcement. The association claims that unqualified individuals are dispensing prescription drugs without proper oversight, putting patients at serious risk. It further alleges that illegal pharmaceutical outlets now outnumber licensed ones across the country. According to the association, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board has failed to effectively enforce standards, with only 40 inspectors tasked with monitoring thousands of pharmacies nationwide. The KPA is demanding urgent reforms and tougher penalties to protect public health.
The public has been understandably alarmed by the growing discourse around pharmacy practice, yet we must not allow the conversation to be reduced to isolated incidents or individual episodes. While media attention has recently focused on a recorded pharmacy encounter involving a prominent public official, largely debated through the lens of privacy and consent, the more fundamental issues remains unresolved: the persistent absence of effective regulatory enforcement.
These errors can be avoided if we are having internal protocols as an association to ensure that all professionals under the Kenya Pharmaceutical Association are well trained and they understand the protocols that will alleviate these dispensing errors.
A Kolomani Member of Parliament, Bernard Shinyali, has strongly condemned the deadly attack on Nalenya Police Station, calling for swift justice for the officers. Shinyali described the killing of a police officer and the injuring of others as grave and intolerable act of lawlessness. He urged security agencies to conduct thorough investigations to ensure the culprits face the law, emphasizing that officers are members of the community. The legislator pleaded with Kakamega residents to cooperate with the police and use legal channels to resolve disputes rather than resort to violence.
You attack a police station, kill a police officer, is someone's son, is someone's daughter. That has happened here in Kakamega, in Mumias West. It is very wrong. We can do politics, but let us not go to the extent of attacking institutions which should take care of us. Let's respect the law. Let's work within the law. If you know you have any differences with anyone, there is the law that should take care of you. And those ones in offices charged with the responsibility of executing law, do it fairly, be just.
Let's get sporty, and the national women's football team Harambee Starlets touched down in Ivory Coast on Saturday night as their Women's Africa Cup of Nations heats up. The Starlets are scheduled to play 2 high-profile friendly matches before departing for Morocco for the Continental Showcase, where they take on hosts on 17th March before locking horns with Algeria and eventually a date with powerhouses Senegal in their final Group A encounter. And English Premier League powerhouses Liverpool ran riot on West Ham as they soared to an emphatic 5-2 win. Nzuki says it will be a scintillating North London derby. We can only wait and see. That concludes News Now at 1. My name is Sheilar Chelangat. Of course, more updates in our subsequent bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Do enjoy the rest of your viewership. Good afternoon.